Welcome back. We're still on the topic of poaching, and in the studios with us again is Ahmad and Sara. Sara, you were saying something about the insufficient enforcement in deterring poachers. Can you elaborate on that?
Oh, Ahmad can
do that.
I'll talk about it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say insufficient, but then I would say that there's more room to improve.
Okay.
For me, for us in WWF, what we're trying to call for a joint task force, so that the government would set a joint task force involving Forestry Department, the Department of Wildlife and National Parks, the Anti-Smuggling Unit, Customs, and all the agencies, Police Hutan, all these agencies should be working together to deter poaching and encroachment in our Malaysian forests, especially from the Belum Temenggoran forest, where we have seen a lot of poaching and encroachment is happening.
Do you think it's lack of awareness amongst people, or greed, or why?
For me, it's a combination of both, because some people, they don't know that some animals are illegal to be poached. One is that, but then some of them, money, because they do. For some of them, they do rely on poached animals as their source of income.
And on top of that, we also need stronger laws, stronger acts. The current act that we have to protect our wildlife is the Protection of Wildlife Act 1972. This act is 37 years old and is currently being amended as we speak. We have very high hopes for this new act, because in the newspapers it has been reported that this new act, the amended act, will carry fines 100 times more than the previous one, and it will have mandatory jail sentences for these poachers. The current act, the law that was made in 1972, only carries maximum of 15,000 ringgit fine for a person who has been caught with a protected animal. So 15,000 is actually not much at all. If you catch the tiger and sell them in the black market, it is nothing.
Okay. So what stage is the law in now? I mean, like
it's being tabled to the Parliament, as we're made to understand. So let's hope that
it goes through.
It goes through.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Can we talk about rhino conservation? I know you're starting on a new project now recently. Can you tell us more about that?
We started the rhino conservation project in early 2007, basically focusing in the Royal Belum State Park in Perak. So far, after trekking in the forest, after setting camera traps, we've only got one footprint of a rhino in the area, which is quite low. It caught us by surprise. But then, as we all know, rhinos are actually the number is getting lower and lower throughout the world, in Sabah, in Sabah, in Indonesia, also.
How low is it? What is the estimate?
For
the Sumatran rhino itself, we can only find the Sumatran rhino in Malaysia and in Indonesia. So current estimate would be about 275 rhinos, Sumatran rhinos.
Sumatran rhinos. For Peninsular Malaysia, so far is estimated between 80 to 90 individuals left in Peninsular Malaysia. So it's quite low.
And so what efforts are being done to conserve them?
For WWF, that's why we are going for what WPU is doing to increase patrolling, and then hopefully that enforcement will also be increased, so that if they are poaching, so that there won't be any more poaching and encroachment into our forests. And another thing is, in WWF we call for proper land use planning.
Okay.
Whenever you want to develop one area, or you want to convert an area into plantation, or having new activities, you should consider the need of wildlife needs. Don't just simply clear this area and left some areas untouched. There should be a proper land use planning. That's what we're calling for.
Okay. And then breeding of wildlife for conservation. What's your thoughts on that, both of you?
It's actually this issue has been discussed for years, and people has never came to an agreement whether it's a good solution. For us in WWF-Malaysia, we don't see that breeding of
tigers,
especially tigers, breeding of tigers as an example, won't be a solution to the issue of saving wild tigers.
Why?
Okay, number one, there will still be people who would think that wild animals would be better than the captive bred animals. So even though you have a farm tiger, someone will still want, I still want the wild one.
So this is for the traditional Chinese practitioners,
especially for,
the TCM users.
Okay.
Yeah.
And number two, let's say if you have two sources of tigers, okay, one you caught from the forest, one you have from your tiger farm. How would you differentiate between the two tigers?
Well, a tiger is a tiger, no?
Yeah, like, it's a tiger, but then how would you know whether this tiger came from the forest or
It's a legally sourced tiger or illegally sourced. Yeah.
how to differentiate?
Yeah.
You don't know.
Yeah.
If it's that tiger, then it's hard for even if it's alive, then you wouldn't know whether it's illegal one or it's legal or illegal. You don't know. Number three is more of the economic. It's cheaper for people to go and poach the animal rather than having a facility to breed the tigers. So because you need few years before the tiger is big enough for you to harvest. I'm using the word harvest.
To breed.
No, to be eaten. Okay, to be killed, to be eaten. But then if you go to the forest, you can just one bullet, maybe
One day.
just in one day you can just shoot the animal. So it doesn't really solve the issue. And then, as in WWF, we try to focus our effort into the tigers in the wild. So by having a captive facility or by having a tiger farm, it won't help tigers in the wild, because tigers in the farm would stay there in the farm, and then the wandering tigers in the forest would still
And there are no possibilities of doing captive breeding in order to repopulate the forest, because you can't easily just release the tigers back into the forest because they're used to humans. They were,
More docile.
yeah, they're used to
being
humans,
fed.
and they're not.
Fed.
They won't be afraid of humans, and they have all our bacteria and all those other issues involved.
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for watching.